Hi, welcome back to our YouTube page. This is Mark here at Northcomm Technologies. Today's video is to show you some new equipment and some new products that we have to offer. On the rack here you can see a bunch of stuff going on. Most notably, we have a CAT 1000 repeater controller. We have a Motorola CDM 1250 radio mounted in this black 19-inch rack mount. And of course, as always, we have the Motorola Quantar repeater platform. Up here we have a spectrum analysis display coming off our service monitor so that we could show you visually exactly what's going on with our RF. This whole product came together because we had a customer out in Washington State who has a 900 megahertz Quantar that he wants to put in amateur use. And what he requested is that we provide him with a cable to do this, a repair of his CAT 1000 controller which was not working correctly, as well as a UHF linking radio that we were able to provide him. So what we did is we went ahead and we built him a full interface cable for all this equipment, and we also custom fabricate these black aluminum faceplates for the 19-inch rack that accommodate radios like the Motorola CDM, the MaxTrack GM300, Spectra, or whatever other similar radio that you might have. In these faceplates that we build, we can put either one or two radios for remote receivers, transceivers, or other kinds of links. But to show you exactly what we built for this customer, I'm going to go ahead and turn the rack around and we'll take a look at each one of these pieces one by one. So you can see that we have a couple things going on here, but really this is not as complicated as it looks. The black harness here is the Northcomm Technologies interface cable, and that has three major points of connection. Point 1 is the controller, point 2 is the repeater, and in this case point 3 is the UHF linking radio. A fourth connection point is power for the controller. Power in this case was taken off of J31, brought up to a 2.5 millimeter connector for this customer, and used to power the CAT controller. We should note, however, that the CDM 1250 radio, and for that matter any linking radio that we'd be providing you, cannot be powered off the back of the Quantar. Because this is a display, we have a small benchtop DC supply just sitting right up here, giving power to the CDM. Of course, if this was a permanent installation or we were selling you an entire rack like this, we'd provide you with a rack mount supply to achieve that. It should be noted, you should never attempt to power something larger than maybe 700 to 800 milliamps off the backplane of the Quantar. Also of note is that most of our cables take power from two primary sources, J17, the Centronics connector, or J27. This customer had a component on J27 which couldn't be removed, and he also did not order a Centronics cable. He required the MRTI point connection. So we took power off of J31. I mention this simply to explain to you that if you have a power connection on J31, you should never try to plug it into J27. Those points are not compatible. B positive and the negative pins are not in the same locations, and that can cause damage to your equipment. Like all of our cables, it incorporates the heavy braided sleeving, the RFI suppression bead required by Motorola for components connected to the station backplane, Amphenol HDP series fully shielded connectors all around, and all of our cables use UL listed communications grade cable which is shielded and has a drain wire. And before we turn this back around, let me just go ahead and point out some of the special features here. To connect to our linking radio, we use a 16-pin Walrus connector, which is only pluggable in one direction. It integrates push-to-talk, transmit and receive audio, carrier-operated relay, and if you program the CDM, even PL detect. One special note, however, is that the CDM is different than the MaxTrack and the GM in a very significant way, and that is the way the radio turns on. The GM300s and the MaxTracks of old had a mechanical electric switch to turn the radio on and off. The CDM is newer technology, it programs in Windows. All that being said, is if this entire station were to lose power momentarily and the CDM were to shut down, it could not be turned back on unless somebody went up to the front of the radio and actually pushed the electronic switch to power cycle it. That, of course, would not work at a remote receive site. So what we do instead is we use ignition sense pin 10, and we connect that ignition sense to the CAT 1000 controller. Now once the CAT regains power coming from the Quantar, it's going to send that signal to the CDM, automatically turning the radio back on. It's important that we not overlook this, because again, we do lose power repeater sites momentarily for things like generators kicking on, and that would not work if we had the radios shut down and not turn themselves back on. So I'll go ahead and I'll plug this back in. You'll hear the CDM power back on. And I'll turn everything around and we can see what we have going on in the front. Alright, let's start by turning on our receive radio, and we'll power cycle the CAT controller, make sure that identifies for us.
CAT 1000, version 4.04 and 2.00. This is the W7IF repeater.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. What you can see on the screen is the signal and the deviation of the controller, the audio levels of those having already been set by us here at the shop, and if we key up, we should hear our courtesy tone drop, and we certainly do. So as we key up, we see that receiver 1 is active, we see that PA is on, which means we're transmitting. 450.25 is our approximate transmit frequency. We can see our deviation, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, certainly not exceeding that 5 kilohertz FCC requirement, and everything seems to be working fairly well. Now, that's easy enough to do, but what this customer required was, of course, the remote linking radio, and he wanted that so that should there be an issue, he could shut his 900 repeater down from his UHF link frequency. So what we've done is we've programmed the CAT controller to accept the link receiver, and we've enabled that link receiver to communicate with the CAT so that it shuts down the Quantar should there be an issue on the 900 receive channel. And the way this works is if we key up on the UHF link, you'll see that we have an RSSI indicator, full scale, because the antenna is right here. We have a receive light indicating the radio is receiving. If we turn the volume up, you'll hear my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Test 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. But what we're not seeing is we do not have the PA transmitting, and we don't have receiver 1 is active. However, that audio is still making it into the CAT. And the reason we want that is because let's go ahead and we're going to disable our Quantar. So here is our, well, in this case it's UHF, but here is our 900 radio, let's say, on our receiver channel for the repeater. I'll key up. Helps when you turn it on. And there we go. Our PA is active and our receiver is active. And let me dekey. I'll just throw this up here. Now let me go into the UHF link and shut this repeater down. Now, when I key up our UHF radio again, or theoretically our 900 radio, we see the receiver 1 is active, but the PA is not transmitting, and that's because we shut it down. And that's exactly how we want this to work. So let's go ahead, we'll enter in the new code, we'll reactivate our transmitter. Give that a second to process. And there we go. We can see ourselves on the spectrum analyzer. We can see that the PA is operating again, and we have remote control over our station. As a final check of how the system is working, let's just do a quick DTMF test. And there's two ways to do a DTMF test on a CAT 1000. One is the traditional DTMF test code, which I don't have available to me right now. And the other way is send it a command and see how it responds. So just check the time.
The time is 5:43 p.m.
Alright, and there we go. It says the time is 5:43 p.m. Entered the code of 400 into the CAT 1000, and everything seems to be working very well. So that was the integration that we did for our friend W7IF, and he'll be receiving this in about another couple of days once we finish a few programming notes. But just bear in mind that should you require something similar, we could provide you with the exact same setup, something custom made to your own specifications, or any one of these components are in fact an entire repeater rack. No job, as we say, is too big or too small, and we're happy to entertain any thoughts that you might have. So if you're interested in any of these products that you've seen in our videos, or you have questions about how we could help you integrate a solution for you, check us out at repeatercables.com. Again, that's repeatercables.com. Our phone number is listed at the webpage along with an email. We're open 7 days a week, so feel free to give us a call, and we're happy to help you with anything. Again, we have another video featuring an SCOM and a Centronics cable. So check that out as well, and you can see some of the new stuff that we're doing here. Thanks again for watching. We hope to hear from you.